welcome to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, my good friend, esteemed colleague, and Notre Dame fan, John Webster. John, how you doing? Are you okay? Do you need a hug? Do you need an intervention? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. I do care.
First of all, thanks, Gary. Good to see you. John Pitt, how you doing? Good to hear from you as well. This is just a good day as always, a lot of good sports. I can't wait to get into it. We're going to talk about Notre Dame a little bit later and hear what I have to say or whatever I don't have to say about that. But the day is exciting. 3 great topics. First, we're going to start off with the NFL. We just started the NFL season last weekend with a lot of good stuff happening. Then we're going to roll into the college football talk and I guess spend a few minutes talking about the Fighting Irish, my favorite program. And then we're going to wrap it up by talking about baseball. It's getting close to the playoffs, everybody. What do you think, Gary? Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, the story everybody's talking about, whether they want to or not, are the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Another injury, this one not as serious as the one that knocked him out a couple of years ago, but a fractured hand injury on his throwing hand is still what it is, and he's going to be sidelined. Dallas was already having enough issues, replacing people up front, but now you've lost the face of the franchise. You've lost your quarterback for at least 4 games. I guess that's the good news. The bad news is you've lost your quarterback for 4 games. Of course, I'm really worried about how John Pitt is handling this because I know he had pretty realistic, even if they were a little high by some standards in terms of how many wins they would get to, but how much does that change the outlook for them in the NFC East? I mean, I think it changes it. We might be looking at a team that is going to struggle probably to get to 9 wins. And I haven't had a chance to check the schedule to see, how it will play out while he's out. But still, without your quarterback, it's just going to be tough. That's all I can really say, John.
Well, it was a rough start of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. Tampa Bay beat them 19-3. I think even before the Prescott injury, there was going to be a challenging season for Dallas. They were having a hard time generating offense even before that injury. I think what we're looking at now, Jerry Jones, at first it was 6 to 8 weeks. Jerry Jones is now saying that Prescott can be back in 4. I would be very cautious with that because basically what you want to do with the injury is give the injury a chance to heal. And you don't really want to put a specific time frame on it, which is what Jerry Jones has done. And that puts added light on Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott has always been a Cowboy through thick and thin. He's going to do all he can to get back as soon as he can. But to add this extra caveat onto it, I just think is a little bit hard. You're talking about a guy who had major thumb surgery. From what I've read, there was either a plate or some pins put into his thumb. You have to wait. I'm not saying he can't come back in 4 weeks, but to say he will be back in 4 weeks, that's putting a lot on it. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I still said it, like I said before, I'll stick with what I said. They could not start off 0-2 or 1-1. They had to win both of these first 2 games. They've already lost one of them. I do not think they will beat Cincinnati either. So they are looking at possibly being 0-2 as we go into the season. But Gary, there are other teams to talk about. We don't want to keep knocking the Cowboys. That's not fair to John Pitt. That's not fair to the Cowboy fans. What other teams do we got out there? What other good games can we talk about from this past Sunday?
Well, hey, let's let's talk about Tampa. Well, actually, that more is more from Monday. No, that was Sunday. Tampa Bay. That's another team transitioning, a retooled offensive line in front of Tom Brady. Not the same number of weapons like he's had in years past, and they needed field goals really to put points on the board. They still count, but that offense didn't really show me anything, even with Tom Terrific, TB12, whatever you want to call him back there. I think they're going to go through some growing pains as well.
I,
The
th-
other
I,
big,
th- I think Tampa will go through some growing pains, but I think at the end of the day, they're still going to be in the main story. So what's your next one? What's the next one you get ready to say?
okay, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay. Really my team. I know I'm wearing a San Diego, excuse me, LA Chargers. Well, okay, San Diego Chargers, because gotta represent the AFL, but they're still the Chargers. But the Packers just really look bad against Minnesota Sunday. Aaron Rodgers did not look like himself. He was obviously missing Devontae Adams. There seemed to be very little symmetry with a rookie receiver, with his rookie receiver and just about everybody else. And for the first time, I think I've seen Aaron Rodgers appear uncertain and vulnerable. And that's not a good sign. For a team that probably should win that division, has been picked to win that division. Heck, they've been picked in some circles to win the NFC. But they got to get it together. The first thing that came to mind, John, was maybe he should have gotten a few more series in preseason to really bond with these guys, in a live situation, because at times it looked like they were just trying to do things on the fly. Like, the thing about Devontae Adams is Aaron Rodgers knew he could throw the ball just about anywhere on the field, and Adams would go there to catch it, or he could find Adams, or Adams would find him. They don't have that right now. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of patience from this Green Bay fan.
In the words of Aaron Rodgers, he tells everybody, relax. It's the first game. Let's see what happens 2-3 games, or maybe the fourth game. Let's see where they are. But I am willing to do a wait and see on Aaron Rodgers and see what happens.
Yeah, well, you almost have to, because again, you're right. It is too early to push the panic button. But I think, John, this is probably the first time that I've seen him look not relaxed back there. Losing is one thing, but nothing seemed to be, they just seemed off in many ways, and that was a little concerning for me.
Well, I tell you what, you're talking about looks and off. I can tell you who had the looks and was on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, no doubt. Who will play the Chargers tonight. Kansas City looks like they got their swagger back. That really was an effective win for them in a lot of ways. I don't think I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes look sharper, and that's a good thing for the Chiefs in a lot of ways. I think they've got a good chance tonight. That's a team I think you've got to watch.
Well, we'll see. We will see.
If you have Prime Video, that is, considering that's where the game's going to be. So don't call your local TV station, your CBS or NBC affiliate, wondering where that game is. Go online if you have Prime. I don't know if you could do it, a 7-day or whatever it is, trial run or something. But if you want to see the game that bad, that's where you got to go.
Well, we'll see.
So, John, we moved down a level, I guess you could say down a level, to college football, where there was a lot of upheaval last weekend. Notre Dame got beat at home by Marshall, of all teams. At times, it seemed like it was Marshall's game to lose rather than Notre Dame's. Texas almost beat Alabama. If not for Bryce Young, that might have been really a huge upset. And really a game like that for Alabama, they held on, they came back to win, but almost feels like a loss. Texas is almost treating it like a win. But then you had Georgia Southern beating Nebraska and costing Scott Frost his job. Then you had App State beating Texas A&M on the road. They'll bounce back, but that dropped them down a few. John, it's like, as much as I want to analyze Notre Dame's problem, I mean, it's just, to me, it just says, if you're a Power 5 school and you pay these other schools $1 million to come in, you better be up to play for them, because last weekend I've never seen where 3 Sun Belt Conference schools or 3 schools from any Group of 5 conference topple Power 5, and you might not see it anytime soon, unless, again, we're missing something with these schools, and that, you just can't look past them anymore.
Well, Gary, I hear what you're saying. I agree, and then I don't agree. You can't overlook these schools, but I also think the playing field is changing somewhat. And what I'm going to say is a longer segment for another day, because with the playing field changing, I really want to go into the HBCU segment with Coach Deion Sanders. Don't have the time to do that today. But what I will say is, you have transfer portals, these kids leaving schools, they're going to other schools where they can play. Some of these kids are transferring from a Florida State or a Michigan and going to an App State or going to a Marshall. No excuse being made. The better team won in all those cases. App State, better team, beat Texas A&M. Marshall, better team, beat Notre Dame. Georgia Southern, better team, beat Nebraska. End of the day, you look at the scoreboard, whoever has more points is the winner. Basic math. That's what happens. But you can't keep looking past these Group of 5 schools. The other thing, Marshall gets $1.2 million, 1.25. They're coming there. They're supposed to lose. If you're giving this school all this money, you better doggone be sure you can beat them. Or same with was Appalachian State. Same with them. They got $1 million something to come to go to the College Station to play Texas A&M. You better make sure you can beat them. Now, let me get into the nuts and bolts a little bit with Notre Dame. I have been saying Marcus Freeman is 0-3. I will not say that now. I will say he's 0-2. A friend of mine talked to me this week and said, it's really not fair that I give 0-3 to him because that Fiesta Bowl was still Brian Kelly's team. Okay, I'll take that as a fair statement. And I'll move forward and I'll say 0-2. But I will also say this with 0-2 for Notre Dame. Needs to find a way to get it turned around very, very quickly. Whether there was a loss to Marshall or a loss to USC, does not matter who they lost to last week. It was a loss. They need to figure it out. Their quarterback is gone for the rest of the season with a sprained shoulder. They're getting ready to play Drew Pine, who played a couple games last year when Ian Book got hurt. They have a lot of issues they need to figure out. They need to figure out the offense. They need to figure out, are they going to be a run pass option team? They're going to be a drop. What are they going to do? They got to figure this out. And Gary, let me be clear. All those people that loved him and sang his praises and said he is great, that will change, Gary, if he doesn't get things turned around very, very quickly.
Yeah.
There has never been a Notre Dame coach who has started 0-2. Or in some people's chronicles, I don't want to use it, 0-3.
Yeah.
I want nothing but the best for Marcus Freeman. I want him to be successful. But I also realize what we're dealing with here in South Bend. A lot of people say it's false expectations, not realistic. You all know how I feel about Notre Dame. It's the best academic athletic institution in the world. I will always say that. I will never change it. With that being said, there's a standard and an expectation that is in South Bend that needs to happen. I think Freeman can find a way to do it. I hope he can. But I tell you, if not, there's going to be a lot of people in South Bend who are going to have holes in their spurs from the being burning and on fire. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Quick question, John. Georgia's back at #1. Where do you see what 4 teams do you see in the playoff right now to wrap this up?
What's that team in Tuscaloosa? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State,
Clemson.
And that fourth one, it could be Clemson. It could be Michigan right now after 2 games. You know, it's iffy. But those first 3, I'm pretty comfortable with those first 3.
Yeah, well, I tossed Clemson in there for my 4, and of course that's on September 15, 2022. Folks, we really enjoyed this discussion. It's an abbreviated edition of the Daily Deuce today, but we had to get one in. Tell all your friends, tell your family. Look at us on Facebook, look at us on YouTube. John, take it from here, man. It's good to catch up with you. I know you got business to handle.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching us. Another great week. We got some good football coming up. We got the Chiefs and the Chargers tonight. Gary, of course, is going with the Chargers. He has the Lance Allworth jersey on tonight. Don't forget to watch the Washington Commanders and Detroit Lions on Sunday. DC is going crazy. They think they got another Super Bowl team after 1 week. So we'll talk more about that next week. And watch the Ravens and the Dolphins. Watch that guy named Lamar Jackson.
From the University of Louisville.
You all take care. Have another great time. Watch a lot of sports, and we'll see you next week.